Good evening, everyone. Adequate public notice of this meeting was provided by the Secretary of the Board to the Home News Tribune and the Clerk of the City of New Brunswick. The time and telephonic mode of this meeting are always posted at City Hall, 78 Byard Street, New Brunswick. Roll call, Mr. Janarone.
Mr. Ortiz.
Yes.
Mrs. Sadowski.
Yes.
Mrs. Seawood.
Here.
Ms. Sevilla.
Here.
Mrs. Shikaitis.
Here.
Mr. Spencer.
Present.
Ms. Varela. Oh, Lord, hold on. Ms. Varela.
Here.
Dr. Caldwell.
Here.
Mrs. Solis.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Janarone. Item number 2, the flag salute on 3. 1, 2, 3.
You are unmuted.
To the flag.
United
States
of America.
To the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
and justice
with
for all.
liberty and justice
For
for
all.
all.
Thank you all. If I could have a motion, please, to appoint Mr. Janarone, the Business Administrator
You
and
are
Board
muted.
Secretary, as a temporary chairperson of the reorganization meeting.
So moved.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay. Mr. Ortiz.
Yes.
Mrs. Sadowski.
Yes.
Mrs. Seawood.
Yes.
Ms. Sevilla.
Yes.
Mrs. Shikaitis.
Yes.
Mr. Spencer.
Yes.
Mrs. Varela. Ms. Varela.
Yes.
Dr. Caldwell.
Yes.
Mrs. Solis.
Yes.
Okay, well, thank you. As the temporary chairperson of the reorganization meeting, it is my duty to report the results of the 2020 school board election. And those results are as follows. There's 1,079 ballots were cast. Dr. Caldwell received 677. Mrs. Seawood received 647. Ms. Varela received 668 votes. They were the winners of the school board election. Linda Stork received 327 votes. Reginald Parker received 284 votes. Jad Cato, 254. And Maria Concepcion Powell, 123 votes. And the public question for the budget was passed 789 yes votes to 207 no votes. I have sworn in Dr. Caldwell, Mrs. Seawood, and Ms. Varela today, and to their official posts and their reelection as school board members, and I congratulate you on being elected to the school board again.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations to you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Thank you.
And thank you for giving us that thorough report, Mr. Janarone. Item number 5, the election of the board president.
Yes, I nominate Diane Solis to retain the position of board president.
I second it.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Janarone, if you could have a roll call, please.
Okay, is there any other nominations for board president? Okay, so seeing no other nominations, then we'll take a roll call vote for Mrs. Diana Solis to be board president. Mr. Ortiz,
Yes.
Mr. Sadowski,
Yes.
Mr. Seawood,
Yes.
Mr. Vega,
Yes.
Mr. Shukaitis,
Yes.
Mr. Spencer,
Yes.
Ms. Varela,
Yes.
Dr. Caldwell,
Yes, excitedly.
Mrs. Solis.
Yes.
Congratulations, you are hereby elected board president.
Congratulations.
Thank you, everyone.
For turning the meeting back over to you, Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. Janarone. We'll move on to item number 6, the election of our vice president. Do we have any nominations?
I nominate Dr. Dale Caldwell.
I second.
Okay.
Any other
Do we have
nominations?
any other nominations of any other board members? Okay, seeing none, then we will take a roll call vote for Dale Caldwell as board vice president. Mr. Ortiz,
Yes.
Mrs. Sadowski,
Yes.
Mrs. Seawood,
Yes.
Ms. Sevilla,
Yes.
Mr. Shukaitis,
Yes.
Mr. Spencer,
Yes.
Ms. Varela, hold on, Ms. Varela,
Yes.
Dr. Caldwell,
Yes.
Mrs. Solis.
Yes.
Motion approved. You are hereby elected vice president.
Thank you
Congratulations.
all very much. Thank
Yeah,
you so much.
congratulations.
Congratulations.
Item number 7, the election of the representation to the Representative Assembly of the Educational Services Commission of New Jersey.
I nominate Dr. Dale Caldwell.
Second.
Any other nominations? All right, seeing none, I'll take a roll call vote. Mr. Ortiz,
Yes.
Mr. Sadowski,
Yes.
Mr. Seawood,
Yes.
Mr. Vega,
Yes.
Mrs. Shukaitis,
Somebody will move that child.
make sure I don't have Mrs. Shukaitis. Mr. Shukaitis,
Yes.
Mr. Spencer,
Yes.
Ms. Varela,
Yes.
Dr. Caldwell,
Yes.
Mrs. Solis.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Dr. Caldwell. You now are the ESC representative.
Thank you so
Mr.
very much.
Janarone, on the next 8 through 51, it's been our past practice to do that by consent unless any board member objects.
I don't believe there's any objections to that, Mr. Hendricks. We'll go ahead and ask for a motion for items number 8 through 51, if we could have a motion.
So moved.
I have Mrs. Seawood, second.
Second.
And Mrs. Sadowski, okay. So, for items 8 through 51, Mr. Ortiz,
Yes.
Mrs. Sadowski,
Yes.
Mrs. Seawood,
Yes.
Ms. Sevilla,
Yes.
Mrs. Shukaitis,
Yes.
Mr. Spencer,
Yes.
Ms. Varela. Hold on. Ms. Varela.
Yes.
Dr. Caldwell.
Yes.
Mr. Solis.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Thank you so much. At this time, we'll take public comments on the reorganization meeting, if there are any.
So we had a few people who registered their intent to speak. I will,
So all board members, if you could please mute your telephone unless you're speaking, so we could eliminate the background noise, please.
So I had about 13 people apply to speak at the board meeting, a few of which wanted to intend to speak at both meetings. So what I will do is I'm first going to unmute everybody, and then I'm going to go down the list of the names, okay?
You are unmuted.
It's for the
So-
reorganization, right?
Right, for the reorganization meeting, okay? So I know the first person that registered their intent for both meetings, was Miguel Romero. Mr. Romero,
Yes.
are you there?
Yes, I am. Could everybody else mute their phone, please? So, I have a question. So, is it really true that Mr. Janarone just went into bankruptcy?
This is the board attorney, George Hendricks. That's a personnel matter. It's public record he did, but beyond that, there should be no further comment.
Do you have any questions as far as the reorganization meeting is concerned, Mr. Romero?
Hold on, let me, everybody give me a second as I manage. Go ahead, Mr. Romero.
So, yeah, I'm asking because is this person in charge of the finances of the Board of Education?
One
Yes,
has
that's
nothing to
correct.
do with the other.
Although I understand your concern, Mr. Romero, Mr. Janarone has been employed with our district for close to 22 years, and there have not been any issues with the duty that he is performing for our district. His personal business matters are just that, personal. And they have no
$25
room
million
for discussion at this
is
meeting.
something going on right now.
Can people mute their phones, please? Because it's hard to hear what the president is saying.
That's so serious.
You are muted.
Okay, so I've muted everybody. I'm going to unmute the board president, Mrs. Solis. Mr. Hendricks.
Hello, you can hear me?
Okay, Mr. Romero, your time is back on the clock now. I stopped the clock. I've now restarted the clock. You can go ahead and ask Mr. Solis a question.
So his salary, what is Mr. Janarone's salary, if you don't mind me asking?
His salary at this point in time is over $200,000.
So his salary is over $200,000, and this person still.
So I'd like to remind everybody, I'm going to read the public participation in the board meetings unless you want to read it out, Mr. Hendricks.
Look, public participation is on the issue of board policy and board procedures. beyond that, I mean, if you want to attack anyone personally, that's not permitted. We're not allowed to comment on personnel matters. Mr. Janarone, as the president has stated, has worked for the district for more than 20 years, ably and with distinguished service. And I think the board would unanimously, and they did, support him. And bankruptcy is a personal matter. If you get in financial difficulties, you can declare bankruptcy. But his job has been exemplary.
That sounds to me pretty insane to appoint a person that can't manage their own personal affairs financially to appoint.
So that's your opinion. Now
and
that's a
it's-
personal attack. I think that's
Of course.
out of order.
Of course.
The board
Okay,
made that
Mr. Romero?
decision.
This is a public,
Mr. Romero,
it's a public,
did you have
it's a public
anything
meeting,
else?
right?
We will not be discussing Mr. Janarone's personal finances during this meeting. That is not, this is not the forum to discuss anybody's personal finances. Mr. Janarone, like Mr. Hendricks indicated, has had excellent service to this district for over 20 years. We are not questioning his ability to perform the work that he does for our district. And I hope that everyone listening this evening takes this message. This is not the platform to discuss his personal finances. If you have anything else regarding anything as far as the reorganization meeting is concerned, you can speak to that now.
I mean, I'd argue that it's a pretty pertinent matter because if, like, for example, if I got arrested for doing something and then I was supposed to go to be a judge, then you wouldn't have me be a
Total
judge,
different
right?
thing. That's a crime. That's a different issue.
Well, yes, I understand it's a different issue, but it's the topic is the same. But I mean, I'll take your.
No, that's your opinion.
your-
No, criminal charges are totally different than someone filing personal bankruptcy. And I think we've discussed this enough.
Interesting.
You have 40 seconds left, Mr. Romero. Do you have anything else that you'd like to add?
As far as the reorganization, no, that's it for me.
Thank you. Have a good night. Next person, Mr. Janarone?
The next person is, I need to unmute
You are
everybody. The
unmuted.
next person is Mike Rowland.
Hello. Hello.
Hi, good evening, sir. You may start.
Hi, did we just reappoint him, to the position that he was on for 23 years? Hello?
That's correct. That's correct.
That's correct. Okay, so, Mr. Romero is correct. We just destroyed the public trust and be able to do his job with the finances by having,
That's your opinion, sir. That's your opinion.
sir, it's my time to talk. Please don't interrupt me. So,
If you're out of
he's
order,
now destroyed the public trust and able to deal with his own
You
finances.
are muted.
So, I'm going to read a statement that the presiding order may do in the public participation of board meetings. Any presiding officer or board attorney, presiding officer may interrupt, warn, or terminate our participant's statement when the statement is too lengthy, personally directed, abusive, obscene, or irrelevant. So I hope that everyone just takes all of that into consideration when your rights to speak at a public meeting. So with that said, I will unmute everybody. I will find Mr. Rowland. And as long as everybody sticks within that policy that is published per NJSA 2C33-8 and NJSA 10-4-12, we will continue to conduct an orderly meeting.
You are unmuted.
Go ahead.
You just violated the Open Public Meetings Act. I have every right to speak on whatever I want during this time.
You will.
Excuse you.
Sir.
The Supreme Court of the United States ruled that it is.
No, they did not, and you're wrong.
Yes, they did. Oh, yes, they did. Supreme Court of the United States absolutely did.
Good.
Mr.
You're a
Donovan,
lawyer
please
now.
mute
Go ahead.
him.
I'm not out of order. It's my time to talk. So.
Yeah, but you have to talk within the guidelines. That's all.
I am talking within the guidelines. It's my time to talk. Please stop interrupting me.
Mr. Rowling, I will ask you this question once. Do you have anything pertaining to the reorganization meeting that you'd like to talk about this evening? Otherwise, Otherwise,
it has nothing to do with personal attack, and I have the right to personally attack anybody I want on the board. It's a public meeting.
That's not true.
Sir,
It is true.
Time is up.
You're absolutely wrong. You're out of order. You're out of order.
Bye.
Well, I'll be suing you guys. It's a violation of the Public Meetings Act.
We welcome
General,
that
please
too,
mute
sir.
him.
I welcome it too, because you know what? I've sued plenty of people.
Good.
He was just reappointed, so this is part of my question. Why are we reappointing somebody that can't handle his own personal finances?
You asked that and it was answered, that the board.
No, it wasn't.
Personal finances were relevant. Yes, it was.
It is relevant.
Another question.
He's ruined the public trust. Why do you think
You said
people are
that
questioning
before.
it now?
You're being repetitive.
I'm not being repetitive. That's your opinion, and your opinion sucks.
All right, you're out of order. That's it.
I'm not out of order. It's my time to talk.
Mr. Zanner.
You are muted.
Okay, so go ahead, Mr. Hendricks. You're back.
I don't know if you heard me or not.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I said I
But
wanted to
Mr.
have
out
a
of order,
meeting
that's
sooner since he was out of order, and I had asked him a question, but he didn't respond accordingly. So I just want to make sure that you're able to hear me when I ask that someone be muted.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay. And again, we will not sit and listen to a personal attack on our business administrator, whom we are very proud to have in our district, and we are proud of the work that he does very diligently on a daily basis to ensure that our district is working properly, and that's the end of that. So if anyone who is signed up to speak for this reorganization meeting intends on personally attacking our business administrator, just remember, your time will be taken away from you because you will be out of order. Now, Mr. Jano, and if you could read from your list the next person who is ready to speak on reorganization matters.
So just to make sure that we give everybody the opportunity, many people emailed to speak at the board meeting and didn't indicate which meeting they wish to speak at. So in order to ensure that all get a chance to speak, I will go through the names and see if they want to speak now or they wanted to speak later. Okay? So the next person is Julian LaChance.
You are unmuted.
You illegally took my time away. You can't do that.
I'm here, by the way.
Hello, where's my time?
Go ahead, Mr. Chance.
Where's my time? Where's my time?
Stop interrupting.
You interrupted me. It's my time to talk. You can't just take my time away.
This is what happens when
You're out of order. We can.
I'm not out of order. The Supreme Court of the United States of America already decided that. When it's my time to talk, it's my time to talk. Once my time is over and if I continue to speak, then I'm out of order. I'm not out of order right now.
No, during your 5 minutes, you can be out of order if you're not.
No, I can't. You keep on interrupting me, and then you just took my time away. That's illegal.
It seems like you really don't want to address the problem with Mr. General.
But you said that
So he
before,
must
and
have
I
called
think
with somebody else's
it's
name.
not illegal.
You violated my rights. Are you kidding me?
Got that in again.
Robert's Rules of Order, you can't interrupt the speaker.
It's the sunshine law, not Robert's rules.
Okay.
Get it straight. Where's the attorney at?
Mr.
Right here.
Hey, where are my rights to be able to speak without being interrupted by them?
You can be interrupted.
You are muted.
Look, we are going to have a meeting through the proper decorum. Mr. Hendricks, you have the floor.
People don't understand how to conduct a proper meeting. You can ask questions, you can make comments. They have to be relevant, germane. There can't be personal attacks. That's it. We never inhibit anybody from speaking, whether they speak for the board, against the board, or on other issues. That gentleman was out of order, and he forfeited his time. If he wants to sue, as he said he would, he can. Mr. Janarone, you should go to the next person who said they wanted to speak. So that's what I would do.
Okay. And in order to do that, without having each person's phone number, I have to unmute everybody.
Well, if that gentleman speaks again, you're going to have to mute him. Do you have that capability?
I have the capability of not only muting them, I can actually remove people from the meeting we are in the meeting.
If you go back and unmute everybody, and he interrupts again, then I instruct you to do that, okay? And then when the public meeting comes, the next meeting that's following this, he can be back in that meeting. If he wants to come, and he certainly can.
Okay.
You are unmuted.
Okay, so we're going to try this again with Ms. Julian Lashenko.
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Is your last two digits is 77, correct?
57 for mine. 57?
Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Chan.
Okay. Is it standard protocol to wait for public?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear the question.
Hello?
Hello?
Hi. You muted me for a bit. Can you hear me now?
Okay, go ahead, Ms. LaChance. Yes, go ahead. Start again.
Yeah. Okay, thanks. Is it standard practice to hold public comments until after these positions are appointed?
No, just on the reorganization. No, you're right. We always have the public comments before we vote on our resolution.
You are
There's
muted.
an exception to that on the reorganization meeting.
Okay, and that's a standard reorganization protocol?
For us, it is, yes.
Okay. So I'm not here to comment on anyone's personal finances, but I do have one question about Mr. Janarone of the board, and that's, do you think it's appropriate that the Board of Education's business administrator owns 4 marijuana-related businesses? Because Janarone owns Hub City Cannabis, LLC, Brunswick Alternative Treatment Center, LLC, Cannabis Enterprise Solutions, LLC, and Canamed of New Jersey, LLC.
Well, they
Again,
might
Ms.
be,
LaChance, his personal business choices are just that, personal business choices.
and
Yeah,
there
but
are
I think they're...
Madam Chairman, there are marijuana businesses, the medical marijuana, the production of medical marijuana, the startup. There's going to be a ballot question this November for legalization of marijuana, so we'll see. But he's done nothing illegal, improper, or untoward. So to answer the question, if he has those companies and organizes them, it doesn't affect his job as business administrator.
You don't see any avenue for setting a bad example for the students?
No.
Okay.
Listen, I would love to speak on that. We are talking about medical marijuana, and if you want me to get into my experiences,
I don't think you have to. It's personal.
family
If
members
I said it's legal, what you're
passed
doing.
away that have had successful medical marijuana as medicine, we can, but it's not for today. So, at any other day, Ms. LaChance, I'd love to explain to you why it is medical marijuana and not as adult recreational use.
Uh-huh. Okay, anyway, I'm going to proceed to talk about the board's business strategy and Janarone's involvement in that. So when I first heard about the proposed redevelopment plan, I was a bit confused by the board's business strategy. The Board of Ed was negotiating the sale of prime real estate directly across the street from a major hospital. The RWJ hospital is beholden to the site.
Ma'am,
I'm
that's not on
I'm
the
talking about.
reorganization. We have
It is. We're talking about a business administrator I'm talking about the business strategy here and why I think it's insufficient. Is that not something we're allowed to talk about if you're reappointing the business administrator? I can hold these same comments until later, but
the business administrator does not make those decisions. Those are policy decisions made by the board. So to answer your question, it's probably inappropriate, but it would be appropriate at the public meeting. If you want to comment on those issues, that's fine. But
is Gianaroni not
his role.
in the meetings with DevCo?
He's the chief financial officer for the Board of Ed, and he's the board secretary, but he does not make board policy.
Isn't he involved in negotiations with DevCo?
Only on behalf of the board. It's really the board's decision, not Gianaroni. He just brings back fact information to the board.
Right, we're talking about these business negotiations, but that's fine. I can save my comments until later, but I do have to say that I think it would be appropriate for Gianaroni to resign as business administrator, given everything that we've seen happen in the past few months. All of these dealings with DevCo, the way these meetings are generally run, people are being muted and scolded publicly. You know, I received a hateful email from Caldwell that's not related to Gianaroni, but I mean, it's this whole sort of culture of how these board meetings are run. And I think that as secretary, he's not doing a good job. And, you know, I do think that the personal finances
you made
matter.
Your point. You made your
All
point.
All right. I'll speak to you in the next meeting.
Thank you, Ms. Lachine.
You are unmuted.
Next
If we could
speaker is Mr.
Go
Cradible.
ahead and move on to the next person.
Yep, Mr. Cradible.
Yes, good evening, members of the board. Good to be back with you. I wanted to start off by asking why you canceled your last meeting.
Mr. Cradible, this is the public comment portion on the reorganization meeting.
Right, I'm looking at the agenda right now and it says public comments. And so I'd like to use my first portion of my time to ask, why did you cancel your May 12th meeting?
Mr. Cradible, you only have 5 minutes.
Should I take that dodgy response to mean that you don't have a good reason for canceling your last meeting?
We rescheduled it, Mr. Radical.
It wasn't, it was not canceled, it was rescheduled.
And why?
Well,
So we would have the reorganization
what we wanted
meeting
to do was
and
have
the public
both
meeting
meetings
at the
together.
same time.
Yeah, I'm sorry, this is not a very convincing reason here. What was the reason again?
We wanted to have the reorganization meeting and the regular monthly meeting for May at the same time. Rescheduling the election to the 12th wouldn't have been appropriate for us to have, we wouldn't have the results then, to have a meeting on the 12th. So we put them both together on the 19th. We had a reorganization meeting, and now we're having a public meeting next. So that's why.
Right, so the goal was to combine them to have less meeting dates.
No, to combine them as we usually do, to coordinate the election and the reorganization. That got upset by the rescheduling. Had the election been April 21st, you would have had a May 12th meeting. Okay, simple.
Yeah, none of this makes any sense, and if you guys pay attention at your own meetings, you would know that for years I've been telling you to stop having meetings on election day. So after years of you ignoring that, for me to think that you just woke up on May 12th and said, oh, shoot, there's an election today, let's cancel the board meeting, doesn't really pass muster. But I'll move on. So what we learned from Mr. Gianarone's bankruptcy filing is that he's trying to start a medical business at the same time that he's wheeling and dealing on your behalf with Robert Wood Johnson. And I'm concerned about the potential for conflict of interest there. And I want to know if, Mr. Attorney, if you're concerned, and the board, if you're concerned like I am, about the potential for side deals or corruption.
There's no corruption here, and that's a personal attack. Mr. Radable, that's all you do is personal attacks, whether it be any other public body, the Board of Ed, the Parking Authority, the Housing Authority. That's your specialty. You're a loser. You lost the election. You lost this election by 70% to 30%. You lost by mayor by 5,000 votes. You ran for county committee, a little rinky-dink position. You lost. Everything you do, you lose. So quit badgering this board. Quit making claims of corruption where they don't exist. You specialize in lies, like you did on this Lincoln Annex issue, that the kids were going to be in a warehouse, not a school, for 10 years, not 2 years. All lies to intimidate and effectuate the parents' attitude. Those were all lies. And guess what I told Mr. Caldwell? You know, as corny as it may seem, that election result was the triumph of truth and justice. And that's what I stand on. And your insinuations that Mr. Janarone, an honest and decent man who dedicates his time to New Brunswick for more than 20 years in exemplary fashion, is nonsense. And you ought to cut it out.
Exemplary fashion. Thank you for that.
Ms. Solis, I'd like to appeal to you that your attorney is making a personal attack against me, and I'd like you to sanction him and to rescind your approval of his hiring, because he is obviously not behaving with integrity or character, and I know he's also run for mayor and lost, so we're in the same club, buddy. But I'll move on.
Don't call me anybody of yours. Don't call me buddy. You can call me whatever you want, but not your buddy. And I'm going to tell you this, that you never liked me as board attorney. You called me a liar at public meetings. You've done that. I don't forget things like that. And again, you supported another slate of candidates and they lost. And you said it was because we rigged the election date. Meanwhile, the victory was more than 2-1. This victory was 70% to 30%. What more of a message do you need for all these antagonists who say we're doing the wrong thing? It looks like the majority, 70% or 67% of New Brunswick, feel we're doing the right thing.
Yeah, I think it might be closer to 3 or 4% of the electorate that voted for those candidates. But nevertheless, can you tell me how many hours per week Mr. Janarone works for the Board of Ed, and how many hours he does working at his multiple side businesses? Is it spelled out in your contract with him how many hours he's supposed to put in, or he can just come and go as he pleases?
From the board attorney's perspective, Mr. Janarone spends 60 hours a week at least on board business, night and day and night, calling the superintendent, the board attorney, board members. It's an endless, thankless job.
Do you have anything else pertaining to the reorganization meeting that you'd like to mention this evening?
Yeah, I would. I would like to just clarify for anyone who's listening that you can call in at the number and put in the code and put in the password, and Mr. Janarone should open the floor to anyone who wants to speak at your next meeting, because that meeting hasn't started yet and it's not too late to sign up. So folks could even email him right now, Richard_Janarone at nbpsnj.net, if they want to sign up to speak at the next meeting later tonight. And I hope that you'll open the phones to whoever shows up, because of course you've over the months been chipping away at our rights to speak by trying to say, oh, now you have to sign up in advance, you have to sign this clipboard or whatever, and we're not at your meeting room, we don't have a clipboard. So if you're truly trying to follow the Open Public Meetings Act and allow people who have taken the time to call in and participate before you close the public comments portion for this meeting, you should open it up to anyone else who didn't sign up yet to do the same for your next meeting. And I hope that people will speak up, not only on this troubling concerns about the Board of Education business administrator, but also this Lincoln Annex scam, which the more we learn about it, the shadier it is.
Scam.
And
you're out of order. You know what? You're just indignant. You're out of order. Scam. It's all been publicly vented. And guess what? We're in total compliance with the Public Meeting Act. We're allowed to regulate our meetings. we're allowed to regulate the time, and we do that, and we make every meeting, our 1 hour and some meetings longer have been taken up for the last 5 meetings. So it's not like the public can't comment. They can, they have, and they will.
Yes, thank you,
Well, thank
Mr.
you.
Hendricks.
Thank you, Mr. Hendricks. So, I would just like to let you know that's everybody for the reorganization meeting, Mrs. Solis. I do have 13 people that have signed up to speak at the board meeting. So we welcome more people. Per board policy, each person will get 5 minutes, and the public portion of the meeting will not last more than 60 minutes. So unless some of the people that wish to speak at the next board meeting wish to give up some of their time, we won't be able to get through more than 12 people, where the public portion will last an hour. Being that said, do we have a motion to adjourn the reorganization meeting?
Second.
Second. Roll call, Mr. General.
Mr. Ortiz,
Yes.
Mrs. Sadowski,
Yes.
Mrs. Seawood,
Yes.
Ms. Sevilla,
Yes.
Mrs. Chikaya,
Yes.
Mr. Spencer,
Yes.
Ms. Varela,
Yes.
Dr. Caldwell. Let me make sure I didn't. Dr. Caldwell. Dr. Caldwell, can you hear me?
Hello, yep.
Yes. And Mrs. Solis.
Yes.
Okay, so we are adjourned. The reorganization meeting is adjourned.
Yep,
We can then move on to the May regular board meeting.
Okay. So I'll go ahead and I'll wish everyone a good evening. Thank you all for joining us. Anybody that's new to the meeting this evening, welcome. This is just an open announcement that adequate public notice of this meeting was provided by the Secretary of the Board to the Home News Tribune and to the Clerk of the City of New Brunswick. The time and location of this meeting and all meetings of this body are posted in City Hall and on our website. City Hall is at 78 Byard Street. If we could have a roll call, please.
Okay, Mr. Ortiz,
Yes, I'm here.
Mrs. Sadowski,
Here.
Mrs. Seawood,
Here.
Ms. Sevilla,
Here.
Mrs. Shikaitis. Let me make sure I didn't.
You are unmuted.
Mr. Shikaitis,
Here.
Mr. Spencer,
Here.
Ms. Varela,
Oh, sorry.
Ms. Varela, Mr. Spencer,
speak at the
Here.
reorg meeting. And you didn't call my name.
Dr. Caldwell,
Here.
and Mrs. Solis.
Here. Thank you, Mr.
Hey, the
General.
Spanish meeting is not working.
Ms. Varela.
Can you hear me? I registered my intent to speak at the reorg meeting.
Here.
Where's my name called?
You're skipping over people who signed up.
Yeah, I also have signed up to speak at the reorganization meeting.
The Spanish section is not working. The Spanish call, you have to fix it. It's not working. We can't get in.
Yeah, none of the Spanish speakers can enter.
They have
blocking
to call
people
the
from
number
coming
that's
in.
on the agenda, it's not this phone number.
Mr.
There's any
General,
other
let
members
me
that
challenge
will work.
the members of the public. I registered my intent to speak in both meetings.
You are muted.
I've hit the mute button. Because we're on a telephonic meeting, does not mean that we just get to speak anytime we feel like. So we're going to hold this Board of Education a meeting. I have everyone's name who emailed me. At the public comments of the meeting, you will be able to give your comments as you see fit, okay? So if you feel you didn't get a chance to speak at the reorganization meeting, you will have another chance to speak, and I have your name on the list.
You are
Ms.
unmuted.
Police, if you want to begin the opening announcement.
Mr. Danner, and before I move forward, I did just want to confirm that the Spanish line is working.
I would say, Dr. Fontanez, can you hear me, Dr. Fontanez? Give me 1 minute. I'm going to check on that for everybody, okay?
Thank you.
You are muted.
Please leave your message for 73277812227. Please leave your message for 732.
I am unmuting the board members.
You are unmuted. You are muted.
Just so everybody knows, we are contacting the person who's running the Spanish meeting, and we will ensure that the Spanish line translation is working before we begin the regular board meeting.
You are unmuted. You are muted.
Are we still on?
I was just gonna
I
ask the
am.
same thing.
Rich, you there?
He's still trying to get in contact with Dr. Fontañez.
Oh, okay.
You are unmuted.
How can you not have this figured out already?
You are muted. You are unmuted.
What happened?
Hi,
Mr. General.
Are you trying to take our time away?
Yep.
Why are you silencing members of the public? You combined it into 2 meetings, so I don't get 10 minutes to talk. I only get the 5 minutes to talk. You should all go to jail. Janarone and Hendrick.
You are muted.
This is ridiculous. You need another equipment or something.
The person that spoke, you obviously don't know how to use Zoom, which is very easy to use, but also the second person that was speaking, you should join our WhatsApp group, because, you should join our WhatsApp group.
Excuse me, if everyone could please be silent while we try to get this sorted out. We want to ensure equity and make sure that everyone is entitled to hear the meeting. So please just quiet while we sort this out.
you can do what you want to do anyhow, so.
I'll join the WhatsApp group, but I want them to I'll join the WhatsApp group.
If everyone can please remain silent.
You complained there's not enough time for the second meeting, but you could have been listening to.
Okay, Ms. Solis, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so I was just wanted to say that to the public and all the board, we have our Spanish translation line set up. We've worked through whatever technical difficulties we have. We're ready to have an orderly May board meeting, okay? And if there are times that I need to unmute everybody, there are 70 participants on the call. In order to have an orderly meeting, we need members of the public to not continue to speak, not during the public portion. And per the policy, if Mr. Hendricks deems that you are out of order for the policy, you can be removed from the meeting. If I remove you from the meeting, you will not be able to join back in, and you will not be able to make public comments. So during those times when I need to unmute everybody, I just hope that you can please mute yourselves, not make comments, and wait till your time when you do have your 5 minutes to make your comments. Okay? So we'll respect each other's time at this point in time and make sure that we can get through the meeting in an orderly fashion. Okay? So, being that said, Mrs. Solis, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Janarone. We can pick up right where we left off, which was the flag salute. If everyone can please join us on 3. 1, 2, 3. I pledge allegiance to the flag of
the
United States of America,
Republic,
which it stands,
one nation,
under God,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
liberty and justice
liberty
for all.
and justice for all.
justice for all. thank you, everyone. At this point in time, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the fact that today we became aware that we lost a member of our school community. Mr. Jerry Capella was the coordinator of emergency planning for our district, and we learned today of his passing. He passed away last night, and this is a tremendous loss for our district, since Mr. Capella always worked tirelessly to ensure our district's safety, and he will be greatly missed. If we could all just have a moment of silence for Mr. Capella. Thank you. This is a reminder that the next regular Board of Education meeting will be held on Tuesday, June 23rd, 2020, beginning at 7 p.m. via audio conference call. Item number 3, the minutes to the April 28th, 2020 regular monthly meeting minutes. If I could have a motion for those minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Ortiz,
Yes.
Mrs. Sadowski,
Yes.
Mrs. Seawood,
Yes.
Ms. Sevilla,
Yes.
Mrs. Shakaitis,
Yes.
Mr. Spencer,
Yes.
Ms. Varela,
Yes.
Dr. Caldwell, Dr. Caldwell,
I said yes, yes.
Mrs. Solis.
I abstain.
Motion approved.
Thank you. Item number 4, the superintendent's report. Dr. Aubrey Johnson.
Yes, good evening. For the month of April, there were 0 suspensions. We had 4 cases of harassment, intimidation, and bullying. Our student enrollment is at 10,275. Student attendance is at 99%. Our certificated staff attendance is at 97%. I would just like to say that as we continue to operate during this pandemic crisis, remote engagement and online learning opportunities continue to be the priority for the district on how we instruct our students as well as how we support our staff. During the month of April, our remote learning metrics indicate that 93% of our learners are using Google applications weekly. This is an increase of about 6 percentage points from the previous month of March. 75% of our learners are actively engaged at least 8 hours weekly using the Google applications. Actually, more so during after school hours between the hours of 4 and 11 p.m. And this is actually an increase of about 1 percentage point from the month of March. And we had 35,115 video hangouts, which is kind of the Google Meets where students and teachers are getting together to speak. And this is an increase of about 2,557 meetings since March. So we continue to strive to make learning experience positive for our students, enriching and meaningful, and we will continue to provide professional development for our staff. So we are really, really happy on where we are right now, and we are actually working on sometimes we have a little bit of connectivity issues throughout the city, but we are working on those issues and providing personal hotspots where necessary. Presently, we are extending teaching and learning, going beyond the school day now with some after-school virtual programs, which will probably start this month for many of our schools. Also, this past Friday, we hosted the New Brunswick Ask the Counselor webinar for the community, which really focused on mental health issues and aspects around social and emotional learning. And in April, we hosted Ask the Doctor seminar, which was also a successful event for the community. These are all ideas brought forward by the board members, and it demonstrates their commitment to the community we serve. And lastly, I would like to continue to thank all the volunteers that have signed up to provide the meals to our students. Today we served over 21,000 lunches, and we are now providing 7 days worth of food each week to our families. That concludes my report.
Thank you so much, Dr. Johnson. If we can have a motion to approve the superintendent's report.
So moved.
So moved. Second?
Second. Okay, so second from Dr. Caldwell. Mr. Ortiz.
Yes.
Mrs. Sadowski.
Yes.
Mrs. Seawood.
Yes.
Ms. Sevilla. Did we lose? Ms. Sevilla.
Yes.
Mrs. Shukaitis.
Yes.
Mr. Spencer.
Yes.
Ms. Varela. Ms. Varela.
Yes.
Dr. Caldwell.
Yes.
Mrs. Solis.
Yes.
Superintendent's report is approved.
Thank you so much, Mr. Janarone. We will move on to item, I don't know if Ms. Martinez was able to join us this evening. Mr. Janarone, would you happen to know? For the
No,
student report?
we actually have a new student board member. They held a new election. So come September, we will have a new student board member. Maybe we can introduce her in June to the board.
Okay, thank you for that information. So we will move on to item number 6, the facility committee report. Mr. Edward Spencer.
Yes, Madam President. The New Brunswick Public Schools submitted the long-range facility plan to the Department of Education. The Lincoln Attic School Plan is moving forward. We're excited and looking forward to a state-of-the-art school, which will be emblematic to what New Brunswick Public Schools has represented to the city of New Brunswick. These are difficult times in our society, and we will persevere toward better days. I want to acknowledge the outstanding job New Brunswick Public Schools, through the leadership of Dr. Johnson and his administrative staff, providing support to the city of New Brunswick community and serving food to families which will sustain their livelihood, ensuring teachers and students have the necessary tools for instruction and learning through virtual instruction. And the Middlesex County's Department of Public Safety and Health, Office of Health Services, the COVID testing, in collaboration with the City of New Brunswick and New Brunswick Public Schools. The COVID testing was developed in conjunction with the Robert Wood Johnson University Hospital. Dr. Johnson has maintained a team-oriented staff, everyone working collectively together, providing innovative and quality education to our students. That being said, I would like to recognize Mr. Richard Janarone for his exemplary service in ensuring that the Brunswick Public Schools are fiscally sound, meeting the compliance to the state of New Jersey and the federal regulations and policies. Mr. Janarone is an intelligent and compassionate person who works diligently for the betterment of New Brunswick Public Schools to serve our students, families, and the city of New Brunswick community. Madam President, that concludes my report.
Thank you so much, Mr. Spencer, for that thorough report. I'd like to move on to item number 7, the athletic committee report. Mrs. Patricia Sadowski.
Thank you, Madam President. The athletic highlights, the NJSIAA Senior Scholar Athlete Award was received by Sergio Ramirez, soccer, third team, coaches selection all-state, and Sergio has committed to Rutgers. The GMC Senior Scholar Athlete Award winner Litzy Martinez Ruiz, female with volleyball, and she is headed to NJIT. And Zion Blanco, wrestling, male, is headed to the University of Maryland. The GMC Senior Sportsmanship Award winners are Zalma Herrera, female, cross country, and Oscar Pacheco, football. Pro Day panel. Through our Play It Smart program, our football team is scheduled to participate in the Pro Day panel, talking about transitioning to college. This is a great opportunity for all as underclassmen to hear this information now before the time comes to graduate and move to the next chapter. This is scheduled for tomorrow, May 20th at 3:30 p.m. The moderator is Phil Costa, offensive line guard center, and he played for the Dallas Cowboys for three seasons, and he is a graduate of the University of Maryland. Main speaker is Vernon Davis, drafted number 6 in the 2006 NFL Draft. He is a Super Bowl 50 champion, Denver Broncos. He's a 14-year veteran. He recently retired, and he also attended college at the University of Maryland. New Brunswick Athletics and the Forward Progress Camp brings you a live virtual class starring NBHS alumni John Casillas and Play It Smart coach Lori Lasovic. Cohort number 1 will be Thursday, May 21st, 2020 at 3 to 4 p.m. Google Meet, a focus on athletic leadership and developing student athletes to become leaders. Becoming a leader is more than just being a captain or the best player. It's about handling stress, managing your time, and learning important life skills to get you through life successfully and overcoming adversity. We encourage you to join in and ask questions as we help prepare you for your future. Hear from a highly successful group of New Brunswick leaders, Jonathan Casillas and Coach Laz, on what it takes to make. We have included 35 of our student athletes from our high school to take part in the first of a series of leadership building activities and to help them cope with the adversity they face in this difficult world every day. So usually Jonathan sponsors a camp in June, and a lot of NFL players come and they focus on leadership, managing your time, and this is what he's going to do via the Google Meet. So I encourage all our students to get involved and listen to what some of these folks have to say, and that ends our athletic report for this month. But I do need a motion to accept the bank reconciliation for a revision for March, and also to accept the April bank reconciliation.
So moved.
So move.
Second.
All right, so. Mr. Ortiz,
Yes.
Mrs. Sadowski,
Yes.
Ms. Sevilla,
Yes.
Mrs. Seawood,
Yes.
Mrs. Shukaitis,
Yes.
Mr. Spencer,
Yes.
Ms. Varela,
Yes.
Dr. Caldwell,
Yes.
Mrs. Solis.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Thank you. We'll move on to item number 8, the Curriculum and Policy Committee report. Mrs. Emra Seawood.
Okay, Madam President, we did meet briefly last week, and want to say that our staff continues to amaze us with their applications for donations and all the books and everything that's donated to us. The Zimmerly Museum, in conjunction with the Art Council, donated art packets for all the students. They were to be distributed, I believe, Friday, but due to staff shortages, we weren't able to get all those out. So hopefully we can continue to do that so the students will have access to those materials. And we commend the Art Council for facilitating that. In terms of the policies, we did review the Pandemic Crisis Preparedness Plan, and that is included in the resolutions. It's a comprehensive document that outlines everything that's needed and addressed all the issues in terms of public health related school closure plan. And staff put in a tremendous amount of work in a short period of time, but the product is comprehensive, and we've had several inquiries, people wanting to consult with us. So again, we commend our staff. The Curriculum and Instruction Committee department has really been busy, and I think they are going above and beyond. The other members of the committee, is there anything else we covered?
Well, I did just want to acknowledge the students in third grade who received a scholarship from the American Repertory Ballet, and they will be starting their scholarships this fall.
We hope, yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
We hope.
Mm-hmm. And all of the information is included in the resolutions and will be on our website. And that concludes my report.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Seward.
Mm-hmm.
We'll move on to item number 9, the ESCNJ report. Dr. Caldwell.
Thank you, Madam President. I have no report tonight. Thank you.
Very well. Item number 10 will be my report. As you all know, the last several weeks were extremely difficult for myself and my family. I am so overjoyed to be able to participate in tonight's meeting and be able to hear everyone's voice. And I'm happy to know that all of the board members are able to be with us this evening and everyone is in good health at the moment. You can never really underestimate how important good health is. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and I don't think that, we always acknowledge the fact that it's important to be well mentally and to check in on our family and friends, but it's just, consider this your reminder to just check in on yourself. If you feel overwhelmed, take a deep breath, go for a walk, and reach out if you do need help, because there have been plenty of times where this whole pandemic has caused stress and can definitely be overwhelming to be quarantined within the confines of your own home with people who you know you love, but sometimes it's hard to remember. So let's just focus on the positive. I do want to acknowledge the fact that Dr. Johnson, through his leadership, is working on the reentry plan and forming a committee. And I think that's important to really be on top of, because we need to know what the future looks like. Speaking of the future, I know that so far there is a plan to have a virtual graduation for our seniors and even the 8th graders that are moving up into high school, which is something that we really hoped could be different, but following all of the mandates and regulations that our governor has set in place, we want to make sure that everyone remains safe, and we look forward to them having a healthy transition into the next part of their journey, that is life. With that, I do conclude my report, and we can move on to the public comments portion of this meeting.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Solis. The first person I'll call to the microphone is Ms. LaChance. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to unmute all the participants. If everyone can please be quiet so Ms. LaChance can speak, I can identify her, and then I can mute everybody so that Ms. LaChance can get her 5 minutes. Okay?
You are unmuted.
Okay,
Hi, this
Ms.
is Julie.
LaChance. Yep.
Yep.
Yes.
I
Go
wanted
ahead.
to let you know that the Spanish meeting seems to have not
Queremos
commenced.
decir que la reunión en español no
So-
comenzó, sí comenzó. Hola.
Hold on.
Yeah.
The Spanish meeting, right now, there's no participants on the call. As you can
Yeah,
hear,
there's only one person, Elizabeth Gomez, who is participating.
okay, so we have one
we have
person
some
now,
people-
Ms. LaChance, and Dr. Fontanez is going. So
You are
just hold your
muted.
comments for a second. I didn't start your time yet.
You are
okay?
unmuted.
I've identified your
You
number,
are muted.
and now what I'm going to do is mute everybody else so that you can have your time and with your comments, okay?
And I
So
would,
just bear with me.
Mr. Janarone, I would just like to ask all speakers this evening to state their full name and their address for the record.
Yep. My name is Julian LaChance, and my address is 88 College Road West. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yep.
you can. You can go ahead.
Okay, great. I just wanted to know that there were some members of the Spanish-speaking public who just a minute ago tried to join and have been unable to join that call. So maybe consider looking into what's going on there in a second. But yeah, anyway, my name is Julie. I've spoken at this meeting a few times before. I'm a PhD candidate at Princeton University in the Department of Mechanical and Aerospace Engineering. I hold 4 degrees, hold a bachelor's and a master's in applied mathematics, as well as a bachelor's and a master's degree in mechanical engineering. I worked as an engineer in industry for a few years, and now I'm wrapping up my PhD at Princeton. So in the prior meeting, I came to talk about the contamination issues at the new Lincoln Annex site. I noticed that that's coming up again in a number of resolutions. And I just wanted to stress again to the public that the new proposed site for the Lincoln Annex School is highly contaminated with radon gas, which is the leading cause of cancer among non-smokers in the U.S. It kills over 21,000 Americans every year by vapor intrusion. It's also contaminated with chlorinated solvents and additional carcinogens. We haven't read the full report yet because OPRA requests are closed to the public. In the prior meeting, I ended up by talking about the death of Emma Grace Findley, who died of glioblastoma as a result of exposure to radon gas and chlorinated solvents, the same 2 contaminants present at the site. And the board replied that they do not understand how that case was related to the new school site. I would have gone on to talk about the death of Brandon Harrison, who died of kidney failure at the Bronx New School, also as the result of chlorinated solvents. So I really do hope the board takes this contamination risk seriously, because Dr. Caldwell will tell the public that this site can be remediated, but engineers are not magicians. I'm an engineer, and regardless of to what extent you remediate this land by, legal protocols, it still just won't be 100% safe. Dr. Caldwell does not have any formal training in engineering. And after the last meeting, Dr. Caldwell sent me a rather hateful email in which he accused me of being paid to fight against the school, which I am not. He accused me of being patronizing and, arrogant or something. But anyone can go online and watch recordings of the last meeting in which I talked in what I consider to be a pretty measured tone about these contamination issues entirely. So was there any reason why you felt the need to accuse me of being paid off to fight for this school.
This is the public comments portion, Ms. LaChance. And just really quickly, your address, that's in Princeton, correct?
Yes, that's right.
And what connection do you have to the city of New Brunswick?
I heard about
Or to the students,
my friends in this, what? My friends live in this community. Maria Juarez lives here, Lilia lives here, Juan lives here. There are a bunch of people in the community that I care about. Sort of like Richard Gianneroni doesn't live in New Brunswick. There are a few members of this board, to my knowledge, that don't live in New Brunswick either. So I think all of us have equal right to be
This is
concerned
the
for
board
these
attorney.
students.
All board members live in New Brunswick. Number two, our board policy says to speak at a public meeting, you must be a resident of New Brunswick, be a parent of a student in the district, or be a group or organization that have an interest in the outcome of some issue in New Brunswick, like a labor union, a teachers union, and so on.
I'm part of
So
the
really,
Coalition
we've
to Defend
tolerated,
Lincoln
hold
Attic.
on, let me finish.
Uh-huh.
We've tolerated your comments, but they're really out of order from our board policy. I just make that point.
I'm part of the organization to defend these students. So I believe that
What
qualifies.
organization is that, ma'am? Is it some recognized organization?
The 5th and 6th Ward neighborhood is one of them. The Coalition to
You're a
Defend
member of
Lincoln
the
Attic.
6th Ward neighborhood?
Yeah.
You are?
Yeah.
You don't live
Is
in
what
that
you're
ward,
telling the
ma'am.
board?
All right. You're wasting my time, guys. Come on. I mean, it's just ridiculous the way
You're
you run
wasting
these
our
meetings.
time. We have board policy. There might be parents out there, students that wish to speak, and you're from Princeton, a graduate student working on your doctorate degree, and you come to criticize us?
Yes, I'm criticizing you because you're risking the lives of these students.
Well, no.
It's my
every school we
responsibility
built
as an
has
engineer.
contamination issues, and they've all been remediated. You point to
You're
one
really
issue
proud about.
where a New
yeah, you're really
Brunswick
proud about
student
that.
in the last 50 years had any issues related to pollution. There are none. You're fabricating that. It's a scare tactic, and I think Dr. Caldwell was right.
Uh-huh.
With that
Yes,
being
it's
said,
definitely
Ms. LaChance,
inappropriate.
Ms. LaChance, your time has expired. I would like to have the next person of the public speak. And like Mr. Hendricks mentioned, we do need to prioritize parents and residents of the city of New Brunswick. As a person who lives in Princeton, I think you need to allow that chance for the people who actually have genuine stakeholders, that are genuine stakeholders in this community. So, Mr. Giannerone, if you could please call the next person.
Thank you, Mrs. Solis. Next person to speak is Charles Cradible.
You are unmuted.
Just give me a
Hi,
minute.
Charles
Everyone
Cradaville.
quiet so I can recognize
El
Mr.
señor
Cradible,
Cradeville va a hablar ahora.
reset everything, and give him his
¿Cuál es
opportunity.
su nombre?
Okay, so just bear with me a second.
Elizabeth Gómez, y acaba de unirse una persona con el número
You will hear the
669.
Spanish
¿Cuál es el nombre de esa
translation while I'm
persona?
muting everybody.
Disculpe, ¿cómo es?
Okay.
Tiene dos números y... espera un minuto,
Aquí
es el
tiene-
otro número, espera un minutito.
Dr.
Hola,
Fontanez
¿quién
is
es la otra
translating to the
persona que
Spanish
acaba de
community.
conectarse? 697. Elizabeth Gómez, ¿o cuál es su nombre? Okay.
Yo soy Charlie.
Hang on, 30 more seconds, Mr. Cradible. I haven't started
Ahora
your
va a
time.
hablar el señor...
Okay, Mr. Cradible, you can begin.
Good evening, Charles Cradaville, resident of New Brunswick. Unlike some of the folks on this call, I live here in New Brunswick, and I do want to start by asking what percentage of the school district's budget is funded by state taxpayers, state money?
Mr. Cradaville, please state your address for the record.
Sure, I'm here on Saddam Street in the 2nd Ward, proud resident.
The number of the house, sir.
You really want to know the number of my house? What's your house number?
It's 25 Wilcox Road. I'm a public figure, sir. My address is public. What is your address, sir?
I live at 143 Saddam Street. Now, can you answer my question?
This is the public comments portion. You can go ahead and proceed with your 5 minutes.
What percentage of your budget comes from state funds? It's an easy one, guys. Come on.
You can get to your point,
Okay, so-
Mr. Cradaville.
Sure. My point is that the policy that Mr. Hendricks just twisted states that public participation shall be extended to residents of this district, quote, persons having a legitimate interest in the actions of this board, and so on and so forth. Ms. LaChance absolutely has a legitimate interest in the action of this board, and it is disgraceful and shameful for you, Madam Chair, to try to silence her and bully her into not speaking up. She pays for this district, just like so many taxpayers across this state. It's a majority of your funds that come from the state. So don't try to limit this only to New Brunswick residents. I've seen you guys do it before, and every time you do it, you're violating your own policies, and you look foolish, just like you look when you try to shut people up about Janarone's bankruptcy, or when you try to shut people up about issues that aren't on the agenda that day. This is outrageous. People signed up to speak, you called on them, and then when you don't like what they say, you bully them and question them about what town they live in and give them a hard time. You guys act like children. You look really, really foolish, and this is no way to run a public meeting. I think anybody who's been listening can tell that this is less than ideal how this has been done. I do want to ask about your votes on the Lincoln Annex issue. I know Ms. Sadowski and Mr. Spencer have already taken votes in the affirmative. I'd like them to address whether or not they believe they have a conflict of interest. Ms. Sadowski, first, you worked for Robert Wood Johnson for a long time. Do you believe you have a conflict of interest related to their plan to purchase a school from the board?
I will not allow you to poll the district, Mr. Cradaville. Move on with your comments.
You'll not allow me to what?
Poll the board.
I'm not polling the board. I asked a question through the chair for Ms. Sadowski. Does she believe she has a conflict of interest?
And I won't allow it, Mr. Cradaville. You can move on with your time.
Okay, thank you. You won't allow your fellow board members to address whether or not they have conflicts of interest. I'd also like to know if Mr. Spencer believes he has a conflict of interest. That one's pretty crystal clear because his other job, he works for the mayor. And this whole Lincoln Annex scam was kept under the radar for a long time. I remember back in September speaking with a couple of board members who told me this is above their pay grade. I don't see how the facilities of this district could be above anyone's pay grade, especially when you're all supposedly volunteers. This thing has been shifty from the beginning. The revelations about Mr. Janarone only raise more red flags, and the fact that this board will not address those serious concerns is only adding fuel to this fire. We need the FBI to investigate this scam, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the U.S. Attorney's Office, and you better believe I'm going to be going to them about this because what has been done is criminal theft, and I just cannot allow this to continue. You guys have all the power here. You have all the seats on the board, and you are not doing the work of the residents of New Brunswick. You're doing the work of the developer, Devco, and it's been shameful to watch Superintendent Johnson and other people who are paid handsomely do the bidding of this private corporation instead of actually negotiating or having a public process. Can anyone tell me the names of the parents on the committee that decided where to build the new school, or is that going to be kept a secret for another month?
I do believe you met your time limit, Mr. Cradaville.
I don't believe I did.
He has 20 more seconds, Madam President.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Janarone.
So you'll answer my question or no? I'll close with this then. The plans for a new...
Thank you, Mr. Cradaville. Your 5 minutes is up. We will move on to the next speaker. I'm going to call and look for Yolanda Hernandez.
You are unmuted.
Okay, Ms. Hernandez, are you there?
Yolanda Hernández está participando.
Yes.
Okay,
¿O
hold
si
on a
está
second, Mr.
participando?
Hernandez.
Sí, yo estoy participando. Hello, I'm on the line.
Okay, Mr.
Hello?
Hernandez,
Yes.
you can hear me?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead with your comments, Mr. Hernandez.
Ms. Hernandez, for
hi,
the record, what
everyone.
is your address?
My address is 16 High Street, New Brunswick, New Jersey.
Thank you, ma'am.
I listen all meeting. I'm very, very, very sad because I don't speak
You are
English
muted.
well, and I try to do because the system is doesn't work. But I want to question about new schools. Everybody know what's going on with the air is damaged, and I think the board they don't care because they don't want to listen in the parents. And please, our kids in the future, our kids go to that place. That's what. Hello?
Yes,
Yeah,
we
go
can
ahead,
hear
Mr.
you.
Hernandez.
Go ahead, we hear you.
Okay, so I'm so sad because I have 3 kids, and I don't want to move on New Brunswick. I live in here for almost 20 years, and they supposed to be go in that place for school, and I'm very sad because I can change anything because I don't have a money in my pocket because education itself is terrible. It's terrible. And everybody, like the board members, supposed to be take care and save our kids, our community, and don't do that because the prices is high, the money is coming. No way. The education is first, and you need to have your heart and your brain clear. Otherwise, you don't do anything. And other thing for virtual classes is very hard for too many parents because everything is on the line. I start to learn about how help my son, and I'm very sad because I don't know how he's going on the school. Every day I ask him, do you do your homework? And he say yes, but sometimes he's confused, and sometimes he's cry because he don't understand. And I know when we talk that you say, oh, go to the board page and you have too many information there. Yes, but too many parents like me, sometimes I don't understand. Today I tried to go to check the old report for my son, homework and how is his notes for the year. He passed the year or he needs to repeat the year. And I can do. And I try to call his school, and I don't have the answer. So I'm very sad because definitely I don't know how is he learn right now. In September, everybody think like every kids go back to school, but I'm not sure the school is safe for the students. And I hope so the district work hard for do that. Because right now, I'm very sad about too many people. Before I believed to by law, I believed to la democracia. Yo creía en la democracia y ahora me doy cuenta que todo tiene un precio. Y es una tristeza que la Junta de Educación, que estamos hablando de valores educativos, que son muy valiosos, muchas de las personas que manejan esta institución educativa carezcan de estos valores. Me da mucha pena que mi hijo pertenezca a este distrito escolar y me da mucha pena que las personas que están decidiendo el futuro de la educación de mis hijos estén carentes de educación moral y de amor a la persona que está al lado. No pueden condenar a nuestros hijos a ir a una escuela donde la tierra está contaminada. No pueden ser tan egoístas, tan tiranos y tratarnos de esa forma. No se puede.
Ms. Hernandez, did we lose her? Did we lose Ms. Hernandez?
I don't know if she got disconnected.
Okay.
Let me see if I can find her again. See if something happened.
She was only a few seconds shy of her 5 minutes.
Yeah.
We'll leave it like that, and you can call the next person.
Okay.
You are unmuted.
The next person is.
La siguiente persona es.
I'll see you in court.
I'd like to speak.
Hello?
Please,
Hello?
members of the public, where Ms. Caratina Hernandez would like her time. She signed up like everybody else to speak. Ms. Hernandez, are you there?
Señor Hernández.
Is she on your line,
¿Usted cómo se
Dr.
llama?
Fontenay?
¿No va a traducir lo que dijo la otra señora?
Caritina Hernández. Caritina Hernández is in the Spanish line.
She's on the Spanish line. Okay, so, Dr. Fontenay, if you would take her question on the Spanish line, and then please, translate
¿Puede
it.
decir cuál es el problema que usted le querría explicar?
Talking to you over here, and you're like, Raquel took real estate, right?
Yeah. She didn't get a license, though.
Sí, ella habló de que el futuro de sus hijos está preocupada y
She
que
finished
está
the class, but she didn't go for her license.
Sí. ¿No lo podía escuchar? Oh, okay.
Good Lord.
So, hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
So, Ms. Hernandez would like to
You are
have
muted.
translated what Ms. Yolanda Hernandez just mentioned for the whole Board of Education. So in Spanish, she was saying that this time is that she's really concerned that even though we live in a democracy, there are certain educational values that are not being respected, and she's really concerned about the future of her children, and that she feels that sometimes the Board of Education does not have the moral engagement, or like they do not care that there is contaminated soil, and that she would like to have this addressed, and then the communication got interrupted.
Okay. So just really quickly, so I'm clear, this is a different person with the same last name, Hernandez, correct?
Yeah, Yolanda Hernandez
This is
and
yeah.
Katrina Hernandez. Katrina Hernandez was asking for the translation in English.
Okay, this is
Right.
Katrina. We need Miss Katrina Hernandez's address for the record.
Señora Hernández, ¿cuál es su dirección? 137 Joyce Kilmer.
Thank you. She can
¿Cuál es
continue
su
with her public
preocupación?
comments. We still have time.
She would like to ask the Board of Education about the Lincoln Annex Committee and the names of the parents. So she would like to know if the majority of the committee members are parents or are part of the organization.
So at this time, due to legal action, there will be no comment on Lincoln Annex School.
En este momento, disculpe, la presidenta está anunciando de que no va a haber comentarios acerca de la escuela Lincoln School. So she would like to know if there are going to be any answers for the parents because her child will go to Lincoln Annex next year again.
I'm sorry, was there a question?
I think it
So,
was,
she's
are the
making a-
students going to go to Lincoln Annex next year? And the answer is
Yes.
no.
So she's making a comment that she would like to have answers because her children are going to go to Lincoln Annex next year, and then she would like to know the answers to her question. So the question was, yes, the question was regarding how many parents were part of the committee, if the parents were the majority in the committee, and if some names could be provided.
Okay, so again, this is all pending legal action. However, the
Sí, ahora está
proposal
respondiendo a la pregunta. Un
included
minuto.
the fact that the students would not be returning to that actual building on Somerset Street, and instead they would be transitioning over to the Pathways campus. But again, this is all pending finalization, so the parents of the students that would attend that facility would be notified in due time so that necessary preparations can be made.
Entonces, la presidenta acaba de anunciar de que los padres van a ser notificados muy pronto con respecto a los planes. Todavía no se ha finalizado ninguno de los planes, pero los alumnos, si empiezan en septiembre, van a ir a Pathway Campus, que es donde está la escuela P-Tech. Pero todavía no ha habido ninguna noticia finalizada.
Okay, any other comments, Dr. Fontanez, from Mr. Hernandez?
So she's just reiterating that there is no clear communication and that parents are confused about what's going to happen or when the students go back in September, and that she would like more information and clarification.
Thank you.
Okay, well, we have no further comments on the topic.
No tiene ningún comentario aparte de la información que acaban de dar, pero más información la van a transmitir bien la tengan. Muy bien, gracias. Adiós. That's all for Ms. Katrina Hernandez.
Thank you,
Okay,
Dr.
great.
Fontanez.
Thank you, Dr. Fontanez. Sorry, Mrs. Solis.
Nope, you're fine.
Okay, I'll call the next person then. Again, I'm going to unmute everybody. Please, everybody put your phones on mute. I'm going to then mute everybody so that Miss Stork, I'll be calling on Miss Linda Stork so that she can make her.
La persona que va a hablar va a ser la señora.
You are unmuted.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Hi, everybody.
Miss
And
Stork.
good evening, everybody. First of all, I would like to say that I was signed up to speak at the reorganization meeting. I have
Ms.
the
Stork,
email and the reply confirming.
Ms. Stork, for the record, if you could please just state your address.
12 Park Boulevard. So, yeah, I had signed up to speak at both of the meetings, but I tried to speak and I tried to let you guys know that I still wanted to speak, which I had signed up to do. and I couldn't get unmuted to do that. So I first
Okay.
had
Well,
some
now's
comments
your
about
chance,
the
and your
reorganization.
time is running.
But I have some comments.
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
Wow, what a dictator.
Okay, dear God, thank you for this name.
It's about Board of Education meeting.
Reminding the public once again, you all are on mute. Ms. Stork, just wait until I can.
You are muted.
I have muted all the callers. I'm going to give Ms. Stork the floor. Okay, Ms. Stork, the floor is yours, and your time has started now. Ms. Stork, are you there?
You are unmuted.
Hello, I've been talking.
Okay,
We
Ms.
can
Stork,
hear you.
can you hear me?
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
we
go
can
ahead,
hear
Ms.
you.
Stork. Your time has
Okay,
started
so I'm going
now.
to start over, start the clock,
Yes,
please?
you go right
Over
ahead.
again? Okay, so, the multiple jobs, Ms. McCoy, Mr. LaDolce, Mr. Janarone, are they all the same jobs that they had last year?
This is public comment.
What, but I didn't get to talk at the reorganization meeting. I was signed up to talk. I have the email. And I have Mr. Janarone's reply.
You know her? Go ahead.
Everyone has maintained their title.
And so the different things that were voted on, the different job descriptions, like same things from last year.
Yeah.
Everything's the same. Okay.
Por favor, colocan el teléfono en mudo. Please mute your phone if you're not speaking.
So, next, I would like to point out, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
we can hear you, Ms. Stork.
Hello? Okay. So, it was
You're being
very
interrupted by
strange
other members.
to hear a lecture about personal attacks and then for the same person to launch into a personal attack. I think it was the same person. Was that Mr. Hendricks?
Yes.
Really?
You are muted.
Here's the thing. I served over 30 years the kids and this community, which I am a part of. Unlike some other people that I don't deny that they have served the community, but they are not part of the community. Same long hours, but guess what? Less than a third of the pay. So, you really can't throw that up in my face. And, I would have been all set to congratulate the incumbents and the people that were elected for the positions on the board until I found out that truth and justice had triumphed in the election, which, by the way, the overwhelming majority is just 2/3 of the votes cast were for the incumbent, but 4.5% only of the registered voters voted. So we're talking 3% of the population of New Brunswick. And as you know, that doesn't include many of the parents who are not even included in that, registered voter population. So, yeah, that's a pretty not, overwhelming mandate like you made it sound. And I'm wondering, so, yeah, this, to me, this sounds like a personal attack. If truth and justice triumphed, then am I to understand that I was on the side of untruth and injustice? I've been accused of a lot of things, but nothing like that. I think this goes back to the moral, kind of the moral values that were just being referred to by the previous parents. In all my years teaching all the thousands of children and working with thousands of families in this community, nobody ever accused me of being a liar or unjust. That is even, the kids, the community, even the, the administrators that I worked for, my colleagues. That's a first for me, I got to tell you. To be told that truth and justice had triumphed. Instead of just saying, look, people have different ideas, and this time, by a small percentage of the voting population, the ideas that are not mine have triumphed, and fine. That would be true. But that whole attack that was just really over the top to me. I don't see the need for that, and especially coming from the person that was lecturing somebody else about doing the personal attack. So, and you got to understand too, to bring up something that's related to something that's actually on the agenda. So, I don't want this to sound like a personal attack, but there's bankruptcies and there's bankruptcies. If somebody has a catastrophic illness in their family, and we all know that can put a family under. And that's understandable. And I would agree that does not reflect on...
You have 10 more seconds, Ms. Thorpe.
But I didn't get my other 5 minutes from the other meeting. However, when someone's bankruptcy involves multiple failed businesses and their job is to administer the city's school system business, that is concerning. And it's nothing personal. It just is.
Thank you for your time, Mrs. Stork. Thank you. You have a good night. Mr. Janneron, if you could please get the next person on the list.
The next person is Sherry Wolf.
You are unmuted.
Okay, Miss Wolf, are you there? Miss Wolf, are you in attendance? I saw that she was here before, but she may have dropped. For the record, I've unmuted all participants, so it's not possible that anybody is on mute and they don't have a chance to speak up while I'm calling for them. I'll call one more time for Miss Wolf. Are you available? Okay. If Ms. Wolf is able to rejoin, we'll address it then. Mr. Gonzalez, Juan Gonzalez, are you on the line?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so if you just give me a second, I'd like to address, find your number. So why don't you speak and nobody else speak? State your address for the record so I can know it's you, and then I will give you a second, mute everybody, and let you get and start your time. Okay? Mr. Gonzalez?
Mr. Gonzalez?
Mr. Gonzalez?
Can you hear me?
Okay, you there, Mr. Gonzalez?
Hold on. Yeah. Hello, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Please state your address for the record, sir.
Yes, President Solis. My address is 11 Cotter Drive in Dewey Heights. I'm sure all the old-timers on the board will know that address. That's the house, the former house of the Lynch family, which pretty much ran this city for 40 years.
So, Mr. Gonzalez, can you just hold on 1 second? I just want to get an organized manner so that when you speak, you aren't interrupted. Okay, sir? So hold on a quick second.
You are muted.
Right now, Okay, we're ready to continue. I'm starting your clock now, Mr. Gonzalez. Go ahead.
Solis,
Go
yes,
ahead.
I just want to clarify something. I think President Solis said that you are not responding to any questions about Lincoln Annex. Is that correct?
That is correct, sir.
And why is that? Hello, and why is that?
The matter
I have
is
no
that
further
it's the board
comments on the
attorney.
topic.
We were advised that there is one lawsuit filed over that issue, and then we were advised today by email that there's a second lawsuit filed on that issue. So it's very difficult to comment. We'll try and do the best we can, but when there's pending litigation, it's very difficult, Mr. Gonzalez, to comment.
Okay, all right. Well, I will try to keep my questions strictly to the facts, and if not, I'd just like to have if you can't answer them, I'd like to have them on the record, because there are lots of people in the public who may be hearing this who may not be aware of some of the things that I'm raising. First of all, I want to thank Mr. Janarone for finally sending me this past Friday copies of several key documents that the board approved at its April 28th meeting. I want to note that I believe that those documents should have been available to the public to review at that meeting before you voted on them, but at least he finally got them to me on May 15th. One of those documents is called the Exchange Agreement for Lincoln Annex, and it appears to say that the exchange agreement was signed on May 11th. I just want to confirm if it was signed, because Mr. Janarone's signature is on it. Was that the date that it was signed, Mr. Janarone?
I'm the board attorney, Mr. Gonzalez. I think the document was circulated around. There were technical changes, minor changes, but the document had been available in its form for the board before the meeting. Then the agreement, it was like almost like a lease. You can pass an agreement to enter into a lease, but then the terms between lawyers could go back and forth, and that's what happened.
I
if
understand
that's the
there may have
date,
been changes.
if that's the date on it, then that's the date it was finally signed by everybody. Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Well, there's a bunch of whereases there, and at the beginning of that agreement, and one of the whereases says that the board has determined that the Lincoln Annex School, quote, no longer meets the needs of the district students, and a new school would better meet the needs. I'm quoting directly from the document. Now, I've been attending now 7 straight board meetings. When was it voted on that Lincoln Annex, quote, no longer meets the needs of the district's students? Can anyone tell me that?
Probably the first vote was February 25th and March 24th, and then April again. It's a term of art. It's the only
I know
way
it's a
that
term of
you
art.
could
That's
do
why
it.
I'm asking you about it, because there's a difference
that's
between.
What it is.
Yeah.
It's like when you condemn a piece of property, it's needed for public purposes or no longer needed for public purposes. You can sell it. Okay, that's a term of art. But that's what the board decided, that we would sell the Lincoln Annex to Robert Wood in exchange for a $55 million new school. And the board passed that 3 different times.
Right, I understand that.
Policy
decision.
decision. I know
you're
may
saying that it
disagree
no
with
longer
it.
meets the needs of the students, whereas parents are saying that it's. A lot of parents are saying
Well,
that
some
it's
parents,
fine.
yeah.
It meets the needs of the students.
Well.
Okay. All right. I don't want to get. Okay. Now, one of the questions one of the points in the exchange agreement, Section 4D, says, and I want to quote because this has been a subject that I've raised several times in the past. Section 4D says CAPRA, which is the shell company that DEFCO is setting up to actually build the cancer center. CAPRA shall in no event proceed with the existing property closing if the deed restriction has not been discharged. And then it goes on to say, for the avoidance of doubt, all parties acknowledge that RWJBH has no obligation to fund the construction account until the deed restriction is removed. So is it your understanding that until the deed restriction is removed, this property cannot be, you cannot close this deal?
Well, that's in negotiation, so I can't comment on that. But the answer generally would be yes.
who would buy a property that has deed restrictions, okay? So that's the answer. That's all I can tell you at this time.
Okay. Another question I have is that in the long-range facilities plan, which Mr. Gianarone finally also on Friday sent me a copy of, but no one in the public has seen this, it says that that the new school is going to be a K-8 school. And from what I see of the breakup of the classrooms, there are going to be 20 kindergarten to third grade classes. And so the middle school has been changed into a K-8, and it'll be in the same building with some high school students from P-TECH, right? So there'll be basically K-12 students in this building. Since the middle school had no K to third grade, I'm assuming that you are going to redesign the feeder lines for all schools in that district as to who goes to that school now, right? Is that accurate?
Hello?
Yes.
That is
Mr.
accurate.
Gonzalez, I just want to let you know that you're now at 6 minutes and 6 seconds, so
Okay.
I'll give them the opportunity if they want to answer that question. Otherwise, then we're going to have to move on to the next speaker, okay?
Okay, well, so did you, so the answer was yes from President Solis, right? Okay, I just want to finish up by saying, as you are well aware, but maybe some of the 70 people on this call are not aware, today the coalition announced 3 legal actions. One is Charlie Cradiville's action, which is...
All right, thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. You had another minute and 25 seconds past the time, so we will move on to the next. We appreciate your comment.
You are unmuted.
Okay, I'm
So
now
generous of you.
I'm now unmuting all.
You are
It would
muted.
be helpful if the public, everybody puts their phone on mute. We do have a Candido Osorio Rojas who wishes to speak. So if you just give me a few seconds to identify Candido, we will give them the opportunity to make their comments. So I'm going to unmute everybody. So please then everybody go and mute their phone and hold their comments. Thank you.
You are unmuted. You are muted.
Dr. Fontanez, I am going to
en
Okay,
inglés
Dr. Fontanez,
y yo le voy a
can you hear me?
ayudar en las partes que no pueda decir.
Dr. Fontanez, can you hear me?
So yes, he is connected to the English and the Spanish. He
Okay.
says that he can speak English, so he's going to try to address the board in English, but if he needs help, he's going to ask me for help.
Okay, so,
Señor Osorio puede hablar en cuando le diga.
can you ask him what are the last couple digits of his phone number, 4 digits, so I can identify him and unmute him?
Señor Osorio, ¿cuáles son sus números 697? Son los últimos números, ¿verdad? The final digits are 1780. 1780.
Thank you. Okay, I've unmuted you, Mr. Osorio Rojas. The floor is yours. I have started the clock now. Go ahead, sir.
Hi, you hear me now?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
we can hear you, Mr. Rojas. If you could please state your address for the record.
Okay. Hi, my name is Candido. I don't know what you're asking about my address. I mean, I know a lot of people, members of the Board of Education doesn't even live in New Brunswick. But I'm going to say my address, just I don't want it to chat up my phone and say I'm of order. So My name is Candido. I'm living in 137 Joint Kilmer in New Brunswick. And the reason why I'm here on this call is because I really, really feel upset and how you guys working. I was believing for so many years the democracy is working on the city, but what I really see now is like people who feeling. What I see now is like people believing like they got the power and they can do whatever they want, and they don't care about what another people feeling, what another people doing, and this is really make me upset. And the reason why I'm saying this because I have a child in Lincoln Annex, and I know you guys doesn't want to hear any comments about Lincoln Annex because of these issues about the zoo. But I have a child there, and for so many months, every meeting, and sometimes you guys doesn't even let me speak on the phone because you guys doesn't want to hear what the community wants. You guys doesn't want to hear the comments of the parents of this child where you guys want to send over to the one warehouse, and this is unacceptable because I'm here and I'm gonna be here every single meeting for my for the education of my child and for all these 760 child who you want to send them first to the warehouse and second you want to send them to a property or build a school and the property where it's already contaminated with so many chemicals. So now the question is, I heard the Mr. Johnson, the Superintendent Johnson, sent a message, voice message to, I don't know if he sent it to all the parents of Lincoln Annex or the whole district and New Brunswick, but he sent a message and say, you guys approve to build a new school, high technology school in New Brunswick, and he also say it's not gonna cost not even a penny to the city. And what I see on the city council, they have to pay put $25 million on this school. Now I want to hear from him to what's going on, why he's keep lying to the community.
So,
he can answer the question.
Mr. Rojas, I do believe that all of the information that has needed to go out to the parents has been made available. I do believe that we have been truthful in all of our dealings with the parents, and I'm very happy with the work that Dr. Johnson has done to make sure that all parents are well informed in all of the decisions that have been made.
Well, yeah, of course, you're always gonna be happy when all his decision, but the only problem is you only happy with his decision because for some reason you guys working together and working with the same people. But what I see is you really don't care about the community. You really don't care about my kids, my son, and this is what is really bothering me because this is not the way how it's supposed to be. This is one of the lines what you guys do. And you always say, we are here for a political position. I'm not here for political position. I'm here because I'm going to keep fighting for the education of my son. And you have to understand that. I don't know what you will do, Mr. Solis, for your kids, but I will fight all the way to the end. And I'm not going to let it go that easy because I'm telling you, I'm going to be all the way to the end for the education of my kids, and I believe everybody will do the same thing. This is one of the things what you always say, and the kids is always first. But what I see it, that is not what you really do. So that's why I really want to hear from Mr. Johnson what he's planning to do because last meeting, 2 meetings ago, he was saying, or you was saying, I don't remember who, Mr. Johnson or Mr. Solis, was saying the parents of the committee for Lincoln Annex they don't want to give their name to the community. And I was talking with one of the parents who is in the meeting, and they say they really care about all the parents know what's going on. So why you keep lying to the community?
Mr. Osorio, thank you very much. For the record, it's been 6 minutes.
This is not
okay. And
I want to hear the answer because
But I
you guys
wanted to let you finish.
That's,
yeah, but
no,
you guys
that's fine.
always
You asked,
what
you
you guys
mentioned,
wanted to do, and this is unacceptable. I wanted to hear the answer from you guys.
okay, well, you mentioned quite a few things, and for the record, I will tell you that I don't work for Dr. Johnson. Dr. Johnson works for me, okay? So it's not that I have to agree with what he says, or it doesn't work that way, okay? I can tell you that myself and my fellow board members, having worked with a different superintendent in this district, we are very content with his performance and the amount of information that he provides us in ensuring that our whole district is well informed, first and foremost. Second of all, for the record, it seems that I haven't made it clear enough. I too have a child that attends Lincoln Annex School. This isn't just your child or my child. These are all of the students that are attending that facility and all of the future students of the city of New Brunswick. And every single election, we have won the election by an overwhelming amount. And that just goes to show that the people that vote in the city do care and do support us in the decisions that we make for this district. With that being said, Mr. Janarone, please call the next person.
Thank you, Mrs. Solis. The next person I'll call is Miguel Romero. And give me a second, and I will get to you, Mr. Romero. Okay, Mr. Romero, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Your 5 minutes starts now, sir.
Yes, hello. My name is Miguel Romero. I live at 299 Somerset Street in New Brunswick. I want to ask the board, where does Superintendent Johnson live?
Sir, this is a public comments portion, and Dr. Johnson's address is not public information.
Okay, I was under the impression that he did not live in New Brunswick, and I'm fairly certain he does not live in New Brunswick. Where does Mr. Janarone live? That is a correct statement. Does Mr. Janarone live in New Brunswick?
No, he does not. But again, this is public comments portion, sir, and I'll invite you to go ahead and use your time appropriately.
Oh, this is great. So neither one of those people live in New Brunswick, and I think it's really hypocritical that you are trying to silence Ms. Julianne, even though she's bringing up very good points about the dangers that are present at the site that you're trying to build the school. I think she's made repeated examples of children that have died from radon gas and chlorinated solvent poisoning and cancer. So I think the Board of Education should really think about the dangers that they're of their decisions. Does the Board of Education?
Just so you know, all factors, the board considers all factors thoroughly before making a decision, all 9 of us, okay? Ms. LaChance is given the opportunity to speak. However, as a parent myself for children in the district, if I have a comment to make, I would like my comment to be prioritized over someone who lives in a different town, okay? So if there are any parents or people who have a genuine interest in this district, we encourage them to participate in the public comment portion because they matter. They matter a lot.
Madam President,
it's not
Madam President, is your...
we don't value her. It's not that we don't value her input. It's that we want to hear from our parents and city residents first.
Madam President, is your child going to go to the new Lincoln Annex when it gets built?
Sure.
Your child is not going to attend that school because by the time the school is built, your child's already going to be too old to attend the school. So I think you're not really making decisions that in mind for your child's safety. The board is not really taking decisions for the safety of the children of New Brunswick. I have a question. Does the Board of Education know what the median household income is in New Brunswick?
If you can just go ahead and make your point, sir.
Okay, my point is the median household in New Brunswick is $40,000 a year, about. If I'm not mistaken, Mr. Janarone makes 5 times that amount, more than that. And my question is, how is it that somebody who makes 5 times the amount that the average New Brunswick resident makes is able to go into bankruptcy? It's mind-boggling that is something that is happening, and that is somebody who is in charge of the finances of the board and of the district. Another thing too is that the Board of Education and DEFCO and all these different people went on about how none of the taxpayer money was going to be misspent, and now it turns out that Minnesota County is going to give you $25 million to make this project happen after months of saying that there wasn't going to be any taxpayer money because we were going to get a free school, and it's outrageous. And I would also like to comment that this Pathways quote unquote school is actually a warehouse, because I found when they were renting it, when they were trying to rent it out, the post online for the advertisement, and if you look at it, then it says clearly it's an industrial warehouse. So you can, yes, you can make the inside look nice. And actually, I have a question about the Pathway School, since you don't let the press, or you don't let people go into the school. Is there a library at the Pathway School?
The answer to that is yes, and I would invite you to stick to public comment, sir.
Oh, okay, great. After speaking to one of the former students there, she told me that there was not a library when she attended school. So I think, as the board of education, you should prioritize places like schools having libraries. It's very important for children to be able to access that kind of information. And I also like to comment that whoever is using Zoom,
Mr. Romero.
Okay, I'd like to comment that I'm sorry for the interpreter, but she does not do a very good job of interpreting, and I think that the people that we've spoken to would like to have a different interpreter provided by our own people.
Thank you for your time. Have a good night.
Thank you, Mr. Romero.
And with that, Mr. Janarone, I do believe that we have met the 1-hour mark for public comment.
Yes, we have met the 1-hour mark. I do have, if you want to go over the 1 hour, I have Danielle Moore and Reginald Parker. But we have hit, per the board policy, an hour of public participation in the board meeting. I'm sorry that, members of the public did not take less time so that we could get to all the folks that had signed up. But that is the board's decision per the policy, yes.
Okay, so I would invite those people that did not have a chance to speak this evening to sign up with you through email so that they can have a chance to speak at June's meeting. And again, that June meeting will be on June 23rd, which is the 4th Tuesday. I know that we typically do it the 3rd Tuesday, but this is the 4th Tuesday, so everyone can mark their calendar and we can all hear your comments at that point in time. And again, I just want to make sure that we do prioritize parents and residents of the city of New Brunswick during that meeting.
And also, we should prioritize, Madam Chairman, those two people couldn't speak, that they should speak first at the next meeting.
Yes,
yeah, I do
correct.
have a few. I have 2 other names. I will reach out to them. They will be first. And next month, as we continue to get names to sign up, I will ensure I have addresses and information per the policy so that we can prioritize the people who wish to speak at the public meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Janarone. You are just so thorough. And with that being said, we will move on to the consent agenda items. That's number 12 If I could have a motion to approve resolutions A through S, please.
All right, just give me a second. I need to unmute the board members so everyone can vote. Okay. So, Ms. Solis, continue again. I'm sorry.
Okay, so if we could all have a motion to approve resolutions A through S, please.
So move.
Second.
Okay, and before we do that, per state of New Jersey rules and regulations, the school district was monitored. Resolution, I believe the letter was Resolution R. So I don't know if as board president, Mrs. Solis, you should probably read out the results of the scores from the state of New Jersey for the 5 different groups due to the New Jersey State Monitoring Report.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and read resolution R. So resolution
Yeah, you just
R.
need to read out the 5 areas that they monitored and the percentage score that we received.
Okay, so here are the Cusack monitoring results. For fiscal management, we got 100%. Operations was at 95%. Governance was at 94%. Personnel was at 91%. And instruction and program was at 76%. And those were the Cusack results.
Great, thank you very much.
No problem.
Can we approve so we have a motion and a second. I'll now take a roll call. Mr. Ortiz.
Yes.
Mr. Sadowski. Oh, let me make sure. I'll come back. Mrs. Seawood.
Yes.
Mr. Villa.
Yes, abstain on M, N, O, P, and Q.
So noted. Mrs. Shikaitis. Make sure I have Mrs. Shikaitis.
You are unmuted.
Mrs. Shikaitis.
Fucking crap ass.
You're full of shit.
You are muted.
I appreciate the decorum of the public.
Come on, what's going on?
Really? Okay. Mr. Spencer. Mr. Spencer. Ms. Varela.
Yes.
Go ahead, Ms. Varela. And then Dr. Caldwell.
What's going on with these board members?
It's not the board members. What happened is that there's people who, through Zoom, have found a way to change things on here, so it makes it difficult to keep the board members unmuted as their names get changed as I named them. So I'll unmute everybody, and board members, be patient with me as members of the public make their comments. I'm just going to remove them from the meeting since the public comment portion is over, and we can take the votes, okay?
All right.
So I do need to unmute everybody in order for the board members to take their votes. I ask the board members of the public to please control your comments. Cursing and inappropriate comments like, wishing everybody gets coronavirus are really not appropriate like we had last meeting. So thank you very much.
You are unmuted.
Okay.
I could have got my 5 minutes as long as you're taking.
Byron.
Call the roll.
Thank you,
Richard.
Mr. Warren.
You're full of shit, all of you.
All right.
You're a
doing
disgrace,
compliments and
ma'am.
using
You're a
Zoom.
disgrace.
Stay classy, New Brunswick. Stay classy.
Are using Zoom.
Public decorum
How to use Zoom.
may prohibit members of the public from participating in the future at meetings. So I will get to the vote. Mr. Shikaitis, can you hear me?
Boston versus every other big Florida. Supreme Court rulings. You're in violation.
Richard,
I will
please call
file
the
a complaint against all of you.
Come on, stop.
Richard, call the roll, please.
Hey, anybody that wants to get added to the WhatsApp group, talk to Charlie.
Okay.
No, I will file a complaint.
You are muted.
That motion was approved with the votes. Okay. I'm unmuting the board members. Okay, so.
Can we just
Dr.
adjourn this?
Miss, we're going to move to, we have the finance report to approve and the personnel report to approve, and we will then adjourn the meeting. Mrs. Solis, I just need your vote on the consent agenda.
Yes.
And I need Ms. Varela's vote on the consent agenda. And so I just want to make sure I have all the votes. Please bear with me. Withhold your comments, public and board members. I know it's late at night, but we want to make sure that this is done correctly, which we are doing. Dr. Caldwell. Okay, we're going to move on to the finance report.
Okay, now, for the sake of the public, you should all know that we did get a chance to review the finance report ahead of time. And if we could have Mrs. Sadowski give us that report.
I don't know if these are even on there.
Ms. Ortiz,
Yeah.
go ahead. Do you want to make a motion for the finance report?
I make a motion that we accept the finance report as stated.
Second.
Mr.
Okay.
General.
Mr. Ortiz,
Yes.
Mrs. Sadowski,
I do believe Mrs. Sadowski was disconnected.
She should call back. Go ahead.
I will get the votes of every board member. Mrs. Seawood,
Yes.
Hello? Yes, Mrs. Sadowski, we can hear you.
Okay, what's up?
This is
Go
a
ahead.
finance committee report.
Finance report.
yes.
I
We have
vote
a
yes.
motion and a second. Okay. Ms. Sevilla,
Yes.
I will be getting Mrs. Shikaitis back on. I believe I've located her.
Do you
Okay,
have
Mrs.
all the
Shikaitis.
votes on the go ahead. Have you have all the votes on the consent agenda?
I will get them, George. Don't worry.
Okay.
Okay, Mrs.
Go ahead.
Shikaitis, can you hear me? Okay. Mrs. Shikaitis, can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me now?
There you are. Yes. Okay.
Okay.
So
All right, found me.
we have
All
two
right, so
votes in
on
front
the,
of you, Mrs. Shikaitis. Yeah. Go ahead.
yeah, the consent agenda, I vote yes, but I abstain on items M, N, O, P, and Q. And on the finance report, vote yes, but I abstain on page 10.
Okay. So noted for the record, Mr. Shikaitis.
Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Spencer. I'm going to locate Mr. Spencer again. And
Jim McCoy probably fell asleep.
okay, Ms. Varela. Ms. Varela?
Yes.
Okay. Dr. Caldwell?
Yes.
Mr. Solis?
But I am.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Okay, now, on the, just this, the board attorney, let's go back to the consent agenda. Can you tell me what the roll call is, Richard? I just want to be sure where we stand.
So, there was a motion by Mr. Seawood. There's a second by Mr. Ortiz. Mr. Ortiz
Right.
voted yes.
Right.
Mr. Sadowski voted yes. Mrs. Seawood voted yes. Ms.
Right.
Sevilla and Mrs. Shikaitis abstained.
Right.
Mrs. Solis voted yes. Ms. Varela, I need your vote for the consent agenda.
Okay, and Dale Caldwell, right?
Yes.
Did he vote?
So Ms. Varela first. Ms. Varela, do you vote?
Can you hear me?
Voted.
Yes, we
Yeah.
can hear you, Mrs. Varela.
Okay, yes.
Okay, so to be clear, you vote yes for the consent agenda.
Yes.
Okay.
And you just need Mr. Caldwell, or did he vote already on the consent agenda? I heard him vote yes on the finance report.
I voted on it already.
Okay, the
Yes.
consent agenda.
Dr.
Yeah.
Caldwell voted yes for the agenda, correct, Dr. Caldwell?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
So the only person that we don't have a vote right now for both items are Mr. Spencer. Okay, so before we go, I will get the
Adjourn, you
consent-
gotta reach him. Yeah.
Right. Okay. and we will get his votes on both of those items. In the meantime, what we'll do is have all the other board members, we need a motion and a second for the personnel report. Okay? So do we have a motion for the personnel report?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. So, Mr. Ortiz. Hold on, Mr. Spencer.
Yes to everything, Rich.
Yes. So before I do the vote for the personnel report, Mr. Spencer, your vote for the consent agenda is?
Yes.
Okay, and then your vote for the finance report is?
Yes, for 3 and 8. Page 3
Page
and 8.
3 and 8. So noted for the record. Your vote for the personnel committee report is?
Yes.
Okay. And then I need a vote from Mr. Sadowski,
Yes.
Mrs. Seawood,
Yes.
Ms. Sevilla,
Yes.
Mrs. Shukaitis,
Yes.
Mr. Spencer, you already voted. I already have Ms. Varela's vote of a yes. Dr. Caldwell,
Yes.
Mrs. Solis.
Yes.
Personnel report is approved.
Thank you, Mr. General. If we could have a motion, please, for adjournment.
Mr. 100% Janarone, 100% Janarone, put that in the record. Financial management, okay.
Before we do, I know Ms. Varela wanted to make an announcement, Ms. Varela. Go ahead, Ms. Varela.
Hello?
Yep.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Well, I just want to say thank you to the community, but I want to say it in Spanish and then I'll translate it to English. Hello?
Go ahead, Ms. Varela, we can hear you.
Okay. Primeramente, quiero agradecerles en nombre de los miembros de la Junta Escolar de New Brunswick por apoyarnos y darnos su voto de confianza en estas elecciones. No pudiéramos haber logrado la victoria sin ustedes. Sabemos que el interés de todos es el bienestar y futura educación de nuestros hijos. Entiendo que aún existen dudas, pero sé que entienden que todo lo que hacemos es por nuestros niños. Yo sé que aún surgen discursos sobre la construcción de nuestra nueva escuela y que hubiera sido una situación perfecta que nuestros niños entraran a una escuela nueva al salir de la antigua escuela, pero hay cosas que no están a nuestro alcance y no podemos desaprovechar esta situación única que ningún otro distrito de nuestro estado ha recibido, donde estamos construyendo una escuela nueva a ningún costo para nuestra comunidad. Pero una vez más, quiero reiterarles nuestro agradecimiento por sus votos y su continuo apoyo. First of all, I would like to thank you on behalf of the New Brunswick School Board members for supporting us and giving us your vote of confidence in this election. We could not have achieved victory without you. We know that the interest of all is the well-being and future education of our children. I understand that there are still doubts, but I know that you understand that everything we do is for our children. I know that there is still some disagreement about the construction of our new school and that it would have been a perfect situation for our children to enter a new school, leaving the old school. But there are things that are just beyond our reach. And we cannot miss out on this unique situation that no other district in our state has received, where we are getting a brand new school at no cost to our taxpayers. But once again, I would love to thank you for your continued support and your vote.
Hey.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Varela. Mrs. Solis, do you want to ask for a motion and a second for an adjournment?
Yes. Unless anyone else has anything else to say, I would like to request a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Do we need to take a roll call vote, Mr. Hendricks, or is it consent?
No, it can be by unanimous vote, and it was. Everybody's
Well, thank you,
adjourned.
everyone, for
Meeting is
Good to
officially
have you
adjourned.
back, Madam President. God bless you. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well
Hey,
Stay
done.
healthy,
Janarone, good
stay safe.
job. Good job,
Well done.
Richard.
Good job.
Well done.
Night.
Good night,
Thank you,
everyone.
everybody. Have a nice
Bye.
Okay, bye.
Goodbye.